Welcome to another episode of Agent versus Lender. And today we have with us the Perry Group. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We have Cody Phelps, who is they're all agents, but he's also in a marketing role. And we have Michael Perry, who's a team leader, and Sebastian Varga, who has been on with us before. So welcome back, Sebastian. So let's start with whoever wants to take the lead. So tell us about each of you just real briefly and tell us where you're at. Well, we just said you're at the Perry Group. So we'll get into some of that here in a minute. So take it, Cody, you're smiling, take it away.
Okay, we'll go in the order we were introduced, right? How's that? Yeah, so as Ron said, I have recently stepped into a marketing role with the Perry Group. I'm still buying and selling. Joined the group about 2 years ago, and we're just rolling with it.
Cool. Michael.
Like Ron said, Michael Perry. I'm a team leader of the Perry Group and one of the co-founders. We started 4 years ago. Still absolutely buying and selling actively. I love it. And yeah, it's an amazing operation that we have going.
One more, Sebastian.
What's up, Ron? I do residential real estate, both listing and buyer side, and just one of Michael's disciples. Kind of hard to not follow. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So tell us, I think you guys were at another brokerage. I don't know if you want to say the name. I don't know if it really matters. It's a great group. I'm just going to say it. It's not a big deal. You were with Keller Williams, and I know a lot of agents over Keller Williams, and there's probably nothing reason why you'd left, other than I'm not going to tell your story because I don't know it. So tell us what led up to that move. Why did you decide to move from Keller Williams and kind of go out on your own?
Yeah, I think I can answer that. For us, it was looking at the model, and I can't thank Keller Williams enough. There's some of the best real estate minds in the world over there. But for me, it felt like a model. There was a better model for the scale we were growing to and how quickly we were growing. So when we looked at every single model in the state, got recruited by almost everyone. And when we joined EXP, for us, we should reward agents who bring talent to the company. And that was one of the main drivers, as well as the support. So that's the short answer on why we switched to what we think is a transcendent brokerage.
Okay, cool. So was there anything that just led up to that move? Was there, what was going on, and why did you decide to start looking? Because like you said, Keller Williams, I know that a lot of agents have started there and have done very, very well. So what is it that made you start, other than, there's just a little bit different model that you guys were looking for? And I have a similar story too. So I could tell that story. So tell me what is it? What was going on in your head? What was going on in your marketing? What was going on in your business that made you decide to maybe start looking?
Yeah. And I think you either leave because of pain or you go for pleasure. And I think we did not leave Keller because of pain. I mean, we were happy there. We liked the operation that we had, but I think we saw the opportunity on EXP that provided for the agents. And I mean, it was years of, do we go independent, start our own brokerage, or join all these other companies? And for us, the model just really, it was a plug and play. There was a quick transition for me that made a ton of sense after analyzing for realistically a year and a half.
It's really funny that you say a year and a half. So it's not something that you just said some event happened and you said, we've got to look. It's just like, this has been an ongoing thing for a while. And I have a very, very similar story. Several times I've been at several different companies. My career is probably a little longer than 4 or 5 years, but I have a very similar story. And you're right. You either leave for pleasure or for pain. And I have stories on both sides of that. And some of them were very quick moves, and some of them, my last move, took a little while. And so I was very, very careful and very methodical about where I went. It sounds like you were kind of on that same page.
Yeah, and totally. And Cody and Sebastian can speak to this, but I think it was, I mean, I'm totally against jumping ship. The grass is not greener. But
Right.
I do think we look at our agents, our admin, and I'd want them to speak to this, but it was definitely, hey, how do we take it to the next level for them? I mean, we don't want a couple $1 million paycheck from a brokerage to buy us out. That's not what our vision is. How can we help the agents who bring so much value to the company?
Right. You know, it's funny that you say that, that you wanted to take it to the next level. I have some coaches, and I know that when I was considering leaving, one of the things that my coach told me was, hey, Ron, the team or the company that you're with that gets you to one level probably is not the same one that gets you to the next. And I found that to be true. So good for you guys. So maybe, I don't know who wants to answer this. This might be more in Cody's realm, but marketing. So, now that you've made that switch, and this is kind of a really weird environment that we're in right now. What are you doing to kind of bring the business in? Because it's just really hard. There's just not a lot of business out there. There's, compared to other years.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a fair point and a good question. And I think one of the reasons that we looked at the EXP model and one of the ways that it fits is we've always been very technology forward. That's, the model that we're pushing. And that's been the case from the very beginning when, Michael Mason and his dad, Jack, started this whole operation. And we definitely, we had to lean into that during the pandemic, and we've been leaning on our social media and leaning on other forms of client outreach, like your home bot, for example. Not that
Sure,
that's
yeah.
necessarily a technological leap, but we've certainly leaned into the digital side of things and, have seen a lot of success there. We have a number of agents that do incredible business just through their social media. And that's something that we're making available in the form of agent development courses for all of our new agents as they join, and our existing agents. I mean, I'm not particularly tech savvy. I know I look pretty young, but if I didn't have to use Instagram, I probably wouldn't. Unfortunately, I said it in our class today, though, and Michael can back me up because he was sitting right next to me when I said it. Even I have done a deal through Instagram, and I probably log on and check it or post once or twice a week, right? So, I mean, everything is going online. Everything is going to video. I know some agents at Sotheby's do a lot of business development on TikTok, and maybe that's something that some of our younger agents on this team want to get into. But really my role, is to support them in whatever their arena is, whether that's old school marketing with collateral for door knocking, or, creating that collateral that's specifically formatted for their Instagram or for TikTok or for Facebook or wherever they happen to be doing their lead gen. So that's kind of how I see it. And, maybe Sebastian can speak to what he's doing in his business from a marketing perspective. And, maybe Michael wants to chime in on where he sees us going with the broader vision of how we do our marketing, because I'm just the hired help.
It's really funny that you mentioned that you're not on social media or on Instagram, because I have a son who works for me, and he basically runs a lot of my operation, and his name's Taylor, and he doesn't like social media. He's not big into so I'm on social media every day. Taylor's on social media like when he has to get on there. So I totally see that so just because I'm a little on the older side and he's on the younger side, it doesn't mean that I'm not on it and he is, because it's just flipped for us. So yeah. So what if Michael said? I'll get back to you in just a second, Sebastian. Michael, Cody mentioned that maybe you could talk to maybe some more of that marketing. So what do you see in what you guys are doing that maybe sets yourself apart a little bit?
Yeah, totally. And I think it's been a pain point for us, on how we market. So I think real estate agents, lenders know us really well. We have a really big name in Salt Lake, but I think in actually Instagram and social media, in my mind, is great for a super close circle or a national circle. It's super easy to get your mission across to a broader scale. But I think what we hired Cody for was, hey, I want everyone in Salt Lake City to know the Perry Group. And I think while we are doing the Instagram, the Facebook, the social media you're seeing everyone talk about, we're reverting back to the paper mail. And I think for us, that's what I think creates an elite brand and the boutique brand, whether it's small or huge. And so I think that's a really interesting point you might not hear from a ton of people, because we're definitely, yes, we're using tech, but we're heading back as to the days of paper mail, because I do think that content is important.
I'm gonna come back to that here in just a minute. I'm gonna let Sebastian talk to us about maybe what he's doing to set himself apart as an agent. And then, but I'm gonna circle back to that here in just a minute.
Yeah, I think the main piece that Cody forgot on the marketing is the looks. I think at the end we all get sales for looks.
Yeah.
No, going back to your comment earlier of the team that you start with might not be the one to take you to the next level. And I think that was a huge move for me. I started by myself, and it took Michael a while to get me to jump over.
Too many conversations.
Yeah, and now finally I had that. I realized that by myself I was not going to be able to do what I envisioned, and that's where the Perry Group came in. From then on, it's been uphill, that's for sure.
Good for you for recognizing that, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people say, hey, I can make more money doing this on my own. But you can't scale on your own. It's not possible to scale very big. And so I kind of look at it when I'm talking to some of my loan officers or people that maybe want to come work for me, and they give me that same thing. It's just like, well, what do you want? Do you want the whole grape, or do you want, a part of a watermelon? And you just can't scale without help and without systems and without people behind you. Without that, you're going to be limited. On a loan officer, we're probably going to be limited to 2 or 3, 4 transactions a month, without help. And even then you're working, if you're 4 to 5 transactions a month and you're trying to do it all yourself, you are working nonstop.
Oh yeah.
And a real estate agent, probably less than that, because you guys do a lot more than people think you do. Like, it's not just like, oh, let's go look at some houses. It is far more difficult than that. So having a transaction coordinator, having some help, having some systems, having a Cody behind you to help you with marketing, it's just like, that is key to scale and to make into 6 figures and making some money. So good for you for recognizing that, Sebastian. To circle back to what I think it was Michael was saying, is going back to the paper mail. I'm a huge believer in that. I've been back before the internet was around. I was in the mortgage business and everything was done that way. So your mailbox was full of stuff. It was full. You would literally sort your mail over the trash can and just go do, and just sort through crap. But it's not that way anymore. Now your email is that way, and you basically sort your email over the trash can, and you look at stuff, and you decide within probably a fraction of a second or a second if you're going to read that or that's going to be trashed. And so I don't think your mailbox is that way anymore. If you get something in the mail, you don't get a lot. You get some, but you don't get a lot like you used to. And so I think that's a really wise strategy to go back to that, to the old school system, because I think you stand out. So we were talking about ways to stand out. There's one of them.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, I don't care if you throw it out. I mean, it's kind of the same concept. If you're throwing an invite, hey, I invited you, and that makes you feel valued. So I think yeah, you can look at our face or the Perry Group logo and throw us out, but you saw again that we're in real estate and another touch. And I think that's where that helps influence social media. It's just, oh my, there they are again. Yep, they're here too. Okay, I still see you. And I think that stuff helps.
Wonderful point. Yeah, that's an amazing point. It's just as your brand, and people see that logo, pretty soon they're going to recognize that, and when it is time for them to use somebody, it's just like, oh yeah, that Perry Group, man, I saw them everywhere. What's their number? And hopefully they have something that's still, maybe they get one in the mail that day. Who knows?
Hey, hopefully
Totally, right? You produce enough content.
Right, exactly. So I was going to ask you for some marketing tips, but I think we got a couple of them. Like, maybe it's just doing something. You don't necessarily want to follow the crowd the entire time, because everybody's on social media, and video, for sure. Social media is very powerful. So I'm going to ask you anyway. So what are some marketing tips? What out of the whole group, what do you think people should be doing to help themselves stand out a little bit?
I would say reviews. I think those have been huge.
Yes.
I totally agree. Huge. Yeah. You know what's funny about reviews? It's just like, you go online and you look for some place to go to eat, and you're looking at all these reviews of people you don't know, and you're taking their word for it that this is a good place to go, and you don't know any of them. So
You just ruined reviews for me. Restaurant reviews.
yeah. Yeah. So it's totally, so reviews, that great point. That's a really good one. Any other ones?
Well, I think you mentioned one that is really big, and however you do it, however you get it out there, is video, right? Everything's a touch. Mail is a touch, social media is a touch, a call is a touch. So however you can get in front of people, that's what we're trying to do. And what's better than video for someone who's scrolling through whatever they're scrolling through, right?
Yeah. Yeah, video totally huge right now. So
They're scary though.
you know what? It's just like
do a video. Yeah.
It's just like anything else, though. Once you get in front of a camera, and after you've done it a few times, like you're basically in front of a camera right now.
Right. Yeah.
You've got it on your computer, you got it on your phones, you've got it on street corners. you're on camera all the time. So once you've done it a few times, it's really not as big of a deal as people want to make it out to be. But you're right, getting that first step. But that first step in any type of marketing or any type of business, it's just taking those first few steps and getting those behind you. Then it's just like, yeah, now you just go do them.
Yeah, and I think telling your authentic story, and I think that's something I push huge on agents. Like, I think the whole narrative in business is hush about your opinions. And that's something I completely disagree with. Is people have to know you. They have to understand the person you are. And I think video helps that. Social media, like, are you having fun on the weekends? Why are you having fun? Did you go snowboarding? Where I feel like business used to be, oh yeah, I'm a suit 9 to 9 Monday through Sunday. Call me when you need me. And I don't think people like that, and they're not looking for that anymore.
No, they want to know you. They want to know, like, and trust you. And if they don't know you, they aren't going to do business with you. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I was talking to one of our agents yesterday, and he asked what I was doing for some of the success I had the last couple of weeks, and the best thing I could come up with was, figure out what it is that you like, who you are, and and own it. Don't, not everyone's gonna like you, and not everyone has to like you. And the ones that love you are gonna do business with you. Doesn't matter when, and I think that's been huge. It's just being yourself. And like I mentioned,
Can't agree more.
for everyone.
I've been told that you can lump people into three different categories. People that are going to love you no matter what. People that are going to that are going to like you, you're going to get to know you and they're going to like you. And then there's other people that are going to not like you no matter what. And so you just don't worry about the people that aren't going to like you no matter what. You just have to, and the people that like you no matter what, those are your friends, your family, or that you can kind of tick them off and they're still going to like you. They might be ticked off for a little while, but they're going to still like you. And then there's probably the bigger percentage of that is the people in the middle that they need to get to know you, and then they like you because they get to know you. And so video and getting to know you, just like you said, Michael, is, so what are you doing on the weekend? It's just like, you're not bombarding them with real estate stuff or mortgage stuff 24/7. It's just like, who is Michael? Who's Cody? Who's Sebastian? Who's Ron? And that's how they get to know you.
Totally.
So, totally good point. So you guys mentioned tech tips or tech. You're really big into technology. What is it that you like about the technology that you didn't have before, or what is it? So some of the tech that you're using. What is some of the tech that you just can't live without?
I think for me, a super simple answer is don't overthink tech. And I think COVID has been a blessing for most of us, but that's been really cool for us. When the pandemic hit, it was an easy transition. We were FaceTime, we were Zooms, heavily video based. And I think don't make your life difficult. If a meeting doesn't need to be in person, instead of a buyer consultation, driving to the office for 20 minutes, sitting there for an hour, have that consultation on Zoom. And I think people can be in their pajamas as a home buyer. They can be comfortable with you. It's match your consumer wherever that. So I think my tech tip is, how can tech make your life convenient? Because that's ultimately what tech was built for. And I think that's one of our tips.
That's a great tip. Love that tip. Anybody else? Cody or Sebastian, do you have a tip, something within tech that you like?
A tech tip is just join us. The system's already ready. I don't.
That's okay. So, each group may or may not have any systems in place, and it sounds like you guys do. So it's really important. I don't know if you ever watch like Shark Tank or The Profit. You ever watch any of those shows? And they talk about people and systems and product. And if one of those are out of whack, you have a terrible business. It's just not going to work. And so systems are really important. So Sebastian, just saying systems, that is really important to have in place.
I mean, we could sit here probably for hours and talk about all of the systems on the back end and, the difference between every CRM in the book. And I think ultimately it just matters, like you're saying, Ron, like that you have those systems, that you're consistent with them. And, whether you take all or part of some or one, and however you want to do that, find the systems and processes that work for you, that you can scale, going back to what we were talking about earlier, just being a team and having people in different roles. There's only so much you can do as one person or two people or three people. But when you start scaling to the size of the Perry Group, it's really incredible what we can do as a group. And that's what's exciting for me, moving into the marketing role is, how can I now support my colleagues? And, Michael does a ton of business. Sebastian does a ton of business. We've got some really stellar agents, and, how can I help those guys that are already really stellar, add another 20% to their production and help those guys who maybe aren't quite stellar double theirs.
So tell us about the Perry Group. Tell us, what is it that makes the Perry Group click? What is it that sets you guys apart? So if somebody was going to look at a group and said, hey, it's been in the back of my head that maybe I want to make a move, why would they come to you guys?
Yeah, I think for me, there's two crystal clear answers. I think lead generation, I think we do that better than anyone in the state as far as having the systems to create the leads, and then also buying the leads to provide to our people. And so we're not the group that says, hey, this is how you get leads, A to Z, go do it. We're the group that actually provides the leads. And then I think second, it's the culture, and I think we protect our culture at all costs. It's not strict and rigid. I'll be in a suit one day, I'll be in workout clothes at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday the next day, and I think that's the vibe and culture we've set for the agents. It's a safe place for all of us to be.
I'd like to speak to Mike's second point, which is the culture of the team. And I think I can do that from a perspective of having been on a couple of different teams over the years in different states and different brokerages, large and small. I came up through a small brokerage in Beverly Hills when I was associate broker in California, and went it alone for a while, like Sebastian has done here in Utah, and partnered up with a couple of people on various aspects of the business, and then eventually joined a small team that was forming within the office with one of their top agents. And I did mostly leasing for them for a long time until I, started to get some of my own listings. And then I think this goes back to your point, where you start isn't necessarily where you end. That started to generate some attention around me as an agent again. And I actually moved over to Compass, which at the time, Nest Seekers, which at the time in Los Angeles was, the new hot thing and the place to be. And, I kind of followed that pattern in New York, but what brought me back to the Perry Group and, the larger team structure really was the culture. It was smaller when I joined, obviously. It's a lot bigger now. But, like Michael was saying, it's you can show up in a suit one day if you got a listing presentation. I went to yoga this morning and, came straight from there to meetings, and no one bats an eye, right? We're showing up for each other. It doesn't matter where you're coming from or what you're wearing, but I think that's a big part of it.
Cool.
Cody's being modest. He always looks good.
I happen to look very good in athleisure. That's the thing. So
but adding to that, the culture and all that, I think a huge thing for me going from individual to the team was they don't want to take Sebastian out of the picture. They just want to grow who you are. From as simple as many teams, if you get a listing, they usually say, Michael is a listing agent, or whatever that the team owner would be. Not here. That listing is yours, that sale is yours. You're just part of a bigger group to help you get that client through the finish line. And I think that's something that sets us apart from everyone else.
And I think to follow up on what Sebastian's saying that I left out, we do not build this team to build the agent to leave us. And I think some teams do that and they own it, and that's their value prop. We teach you how to run a team. That's not us. I think we want you to come here and never leave us, not because hey, we like you, but simply because your life is better with us than it would be somewhere else. And so I think that's been our mission and our core value from the beginning. And to Sebastian's point, I think that will always be who we are.
Totally.
So awesome. So is there any other points, anything you want to, before we wrap up, anything that you want to leave us with?
Michael, do you want me to plug Tuesday? Ron, can I do that? I know you said we weren't going to do a lengthy sales pitch on anything.
Right. So I do want people to know, I'm going to ask you, or just do it right now. How do people reach you? Is there, we want to know that. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think we're the Perry Group Utah, UT, across pretty much all social media. So that's the easiest way to find us there. You can always email in moving forward, marketing@theperry.group, or if you want to get a hold of Michael, same domain. But what I wanted to plug, and I want to put the invitation out there, we are doing an event next week sponsored by one of our main partners, Edge Homes, in conjunction with our partners at EXP. We are going to have a little lunch and learn masterclass down at the Edge warehouse that people are more than welcome to attend. Agents, lenders, if they want to come down and see what we're doing and what some of our partners are doing to generate leads in this market, specifically generate listings in this low inventory market. So
when is that? What date is that?
That is Tuesday, the 25th.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I'm gonna make sure that we get this podcast out.
Pressure's on, Ron. Get it out tonight.
Right. Oh,
Right.
and I can send you those details, Ron, if you want to include it with the podcast itself. So, but yeah,
Or they can get hold of you. They know
exactly.
that it's the 25th. They can get hold of you and let you know exactly how to.
If you want to find me on social media and take the chance that I actually answer at Cody Brian Phelps, Brian with an I, Phelps like the swimmer. So Michael and Sebastian might respond faster that way, but like I said, you can always email any of them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. All right. Anything else? And Sebastian, you're so it's really nice to get a perspective from, like, I know you said you're a team leader. You're probably an owner, Mike. So we have a perspective of an owner, of somebody from the marketing, and then Sebastian's an agent there. So Sebastian, if they need a good agent, how do they get hold of you?
I think Instagram is always the easiest. Sebastian F. Varga. I'm always checking social media. I might not always be on it myself. Yeah, but I'm keeping up.
Cool. All right. Anything else you wanted to wrap up with, Mike?
Oh, thank you so much for having us. We love these opportunities and getting to spread what we do and who we are. So thank you so much, Ron.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, you guys. So that will wrap up another episode of Agent versus Lender. Oh, and if you need to get hold of me, you can reach me at 801-628-7667. And I can be found on social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram are probably the main ones. I'm on YouTube as well. And you'll see this. We'll also have this not only on our podcast on different venues, but we'll also put up the video on YouTube. So if you want to watch instead of just listen, it'll be available there too. So we will wrap this up, and thanks to all you guys for being on here today, and thanks to you, our listeners, for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Agent versus Lender.